Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today.
And it is the show that is right before the week before our 100th show.
And we're going to finish.
It's our go home show for the 100-point show.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, Chris, are we incredibly zoomed in? Like more so than usual?
Don't think so, buddy. I mean, that's on the camera end if that's the case. I think the camera's zoomed out even. And to be fair, if I do anything to this perspective that you're on right now, it has weird clipping issues.
Huh.
It's not the board this time.
Interesting.
In fact, I believe this is how it was set before.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I see how we look on the camera.
Sure.
And I see how we look on the stream. And it just doesn't it look different, Ruben?
It is zoomed in. I can't do much about that right now.
A little bit.
Huh. Okay. Well, hopefully it's not
no clue
too much
why
of an
it's
issue.
clipping right now at a certain point.
Anyways, besides our technical issues, we are covering chapters 29, 30, 31, and 32 in 2nd Chronicles today.
Yes, and we are almost done with 2nd Chronicles. And after that, because next week we're going to be finishing off 2nd Chronicles, and the week after that we have the Book of Ezra.
Oh, the Book of Ezra.
Yep, the Book of Ezra. And for that show, I'm going to have someone who has helped us out a lot. And well, he has helped me a lot out with research, and he was attending Liberty University.
Liberty.
Yeah, he was pursuing a degree in theology, and he now has a PhD in theology. But in his time at Liberty University, he became an atheist. So
great.
Yeah, so he's a very smart guy. So we're gonna try to have him on the show. But anyways, some announcements.
Yes. We're about halfway through. Well, not quite. The new 666 drive.
Yeah. We're almost there. We are also almost done with our demon summoning, and also the esoteric Nazism video.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of German documentaries.
I'm sure there are. And one other thing, I am going to be doing thank you.
Thank you, Ragabash Dabbler.
For the 666, been out of the country for 2 months, missed the show. Missed it! Oh my god.
Ooh.
Well, you know what? This makes up for it.
Luckily,
all
of the
tithes
shows
make up for it.
are still back in our recordings.
Yeah, in our catalog.
They're all there.
So, anyways, next week I am. So, you guys probably remember some of the guests we've had on the show: Jim Majors and Chris Hansen from Biblical History Skeptics. We have a separate channel, the Unheavenly Hosts. We have not posted on that yet, but we will probably be doing a live stream this week about the Dead Sea Scrolls. Just a general introduction to the topic and the influence of the Dead Sea Scrolls and stuff like that. So if you guys are interested in that, you can probably go find the channel if you just search on Heavenly Hosts and search for the channels. Anyways, those are the announcements. 100-point show.
100-point show. Let's go.
Yeah, and we'll make this quick. Who was the legendary 7th king of Babylon?
Is it Gilgamesh?
What'd you say?
Enki.
No, it was not Enki, and no, it was not Gilgamesh.
Oh man.
Amenduranki.
Oh, well, it started with an E.
Oh my god.
You did it.
And it's also a theophoric name because Anki is another. He's a god of the region, and his name is right in there.
Yeah.
As is tradition.
Great.
Anyways, what is your 100-point show question?
All right, I've got a really good 100-point show question.
You do? I don't
Yes.
believe you.
Oh, you don't believe me?
Nope.
My 100-point show question
Stalling.
is, what was my first 100-point show question?
See, we don't know.
Something about Pokemon. I don't remember. Do you even remember?
No, but I know it wasn't whatever you said.
Oh,
It might have been.
It might have been.
But it wasn't exactly that.
Well, it could have
I
been.
guess. It wasn't exactly that.
I know
What
it
I said
wasn't
wasn't
exactly
a question.
that.
Damn,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a 100-point show question, but I guess I have a question for the audience. Next week is our 100 points finale or whatever for the 100th episode. What do you guys want to see on it? You know, we're going to do something that has to do with all the previous episodes of the 100-point show, and we don't know exactly what would be the most hilarious. So if you have any ideas, feel free and post them. Thanks.
Yeah, post your ideas.
And also, to be clear, it's not a finale.
Or whatever. It's like...
It's a very
There's never
meta.
going to be another 100th episode, so it won't make sense for a 100-point show. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
but
even the 200th episode won't be anything spectacular for the 100-point show.
Sure,
so this is the
sure.
best the 100-point show has to be.
Right, okay.
This is
so,
like, we want it to be the best it could be. So this is the finale of the 100-point show.
Yeah, well,
Even if it continues.
we're probably going to do something separate for that, honestly.
Well, let's figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But, hey, we'll take ideas, too, so if you have any, feel free and post them.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyways.
Dress up as the whore of Babylon.
You know what?
Okay.
That sounds fun.
Great. Go do it.
Do
Lauren.
you?
Wouldn't be the first time I cross-dressed.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, let's hop right into these readings. I have the English Standard Version.
And I have the King James Version.
We also have the Holy Scriptures according to some Jews.
And the New King James Version. Where are the other translations?
they're right here.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Put them on the table. What are you doing?
All right, sorry. They
Oy
were
vey.
they were casting a weird
What
shadow
are you,
over here.
Meshuggah?
Yeah, I know. This is the prophets. We're not even going to need that today, probably. Here are the writings.
Ooh, great.
It's in here. Second Chronicles is in here in the writings.
Ah.
And then we also have the Torah. So,
But you're not going to put that
do you
on
want
the
me
table.
to pull
Yeah,
the Torah
go put
out?
it on the
Yeah,
table. It's for dramatic effect.
Fine. Dramatic effect. The fucking Torah.
Well,
There
why
you
would you
go.
put the Torah on top of the writings when we're going to use
Okay,
the
fine.
writings?
Whatever, you fucking asshole.
You know, that looks stupid. Put it back down.
Yeah, I don't like
I
this
like it now.
order.
Let's start the readings while you're at that.
All
How's
right.
that?
Hezekiah began to reign when he was 25 years old, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Abiah, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David, his father, had done.
And, of course, a lot of people, they say, do what was right in the eyes of the Lord.
Except those high places, they
In
never do
accordance
anything
with
about
David,
those.
who totally did the right thing all the time,
Except for that one time.
and all those other times.
Somebody fucks up just a little and everybody pays for it. It
Yep.
sucks.
Hezekiah does do some things that would, of course, be right in the eyes of the Lord. But let's see if he holds up.
That
He,
never happens.
in the first year of his reign, in the first month, opened the doors of the house of the Lord and repaired them.
Yeah, so remember,
Good job.
Ahaz was very idolatrous, we should say.
Mm-hmm.
He put up some high places and some idols, and he closed some stuff up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's making it very clear that Hezekiah was so good that the very first thing he did in the first year, in the first month, he fixed everything.
Everything?
Well, it says right here that I fucking flipped to the wrong page. It says right here that he opened the doors of the house of the Lord and repaired them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one
Yeah.
thing.
He had also
should
literally
be enough.
repaired the physical structure of that building.
I'm sure.
Well,
Yes.
you gotta.
Let's
otherwise,
continue.
whatever. The doors don't
And
work.
he brought in the priests and the Levites and gathered them together into the east street. And said unto them, Hear me, ye Levites, sanctify now yourselves and sanctify the house of the Lord God of your fathers, and carry forth the filthiness out of the holy place. For our fathers, which have trespassed and done that which was evil in the eyes of the Lord our God, and have forsaken him, and have turned away their faces from the habitation of the Lord, and turned their backs. Also, they have shut up the doors of the porch, and put out the lamps, and have not burned incense, nor offered burnt offerings in the holy place unto the God of Israel. Wherefore, the wrath of the Lord was upon Judah and Jerusalem, and he hath delivered them to trouble, to astonishment, and to hissing, as you see with your eyes.
Yeah, I also have and of hissing, and I don't fully understand that. What is the altar
There you
have
go.
here?
That's hissing. That's what that means. If you didn't understand
Well, I know.
that.
Fuck off. I don't know.
They're like cats.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean in context. And yeah, also hissing in here. I don't. Let's see. And he turned them into a horror and a desolation and a hissing, as you see with your eyes.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I don't know what that means
I'm
at
not
all.
100% sure on that.
Boy, context clues for that are gone.
Lo, our fathers have fallen by the sword, and our sons and our daughters and our wives are in captivity for this.
So, couple things.
Yes.
One, mine says, Behold!
Behold!
Behold.
And second of all, I have a note here about our fathers fell by the sword. The reference may be to the incursion of the Assyrian emperor Sennacherib into Judah, though that would be the case only if this rededication took place after 701 BCE. So, I mean, that would make sense with all the idolatry that was going on before. So, that's just something to note, I guess.
Now, it is in mine heart to make a covenant with the Lord God of Israel, that his fierce wrath may turn away from us. My sons, be not now negligent, for the Lord hath chosen you to stand before him, to serve him, and that ye should minister unto him and burn incense.
Incense!
Yeah.
Yep.
As long as they're the right ones.
This is that time.
And this is he's saying this to the Levites, right?
Yes.
So it better be them and nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or the
That-
Aaronids, which are Levites.
The Levites
Specifically.
arose. Mahath, the son of Amasai, and Joel, the son of Azariah, of the sons of the Kohathites, and of the sons of Merari, Kish, the son of Abdi, and Azariah, the son of Jahilel.
That's his name?
Yeah, kinda.
Wow.
It's Jahalelel.
Jehalalel.
Still bad.
Jehalelel.
There's no nice way to say that name.
Yeah.
And of the Gershonites, Joah, the son of Zimmah, and Eden, the son of Joah. And of the sons of Elizaphan, Shimri, and Jael. And of the sons of Asaph, Zechariah and Mattaniah. And of the sons of Haman, Jehiel and Shimei. And the sons of Jeduthun, Shemaiah and Uzziel. And they gathered their brethren and sanctified themselves, and came, according to the commandments of the king, by the words of the Lord, to cleanse the house of the Lord.
They're making it all okay after all the idols and
Oh, yeah.
shit.
And the priests went into the inner part of the house of the Lord to cleanse it.
You know, here's something interesting. It was already consecrated before, right?
Yes.
And then it was closed up by Ahaz, and now it has to be reconsecrated.
Yes.
So it's something. So like there has already been some idolatry in the temple already before Ahaz. So shut up. Let me finish my fucking thought. And that didn't taint it in any way. They didn't have to reconsecrate afterwards. So what was it about? Like, was closing the temple enough?
I have two ideas.
One would imagine that they're actually literally cleaning it after it's been closed for a really long time.
Well, you could say like cleaning, but it's like at least a ritualistic cleaning.
I mean, it's a ritualistic cleaning, but of course they want to actually get it clean.
Sure,
That's
yeah.
another
Physically.
idea, yeah. I had the idea that no matter what, they have to sanctify a place after it's been left alone for a period of time. That's one theory. And another theory, I mean, that goes in tandem with cleaning up for sure, that first one. And a second one I had was that they themselves were tainted, and by going in there, they tainted it a bit. And they needed to cleanse the whole place so they could cleanse themselves. Does that make sense, Lawrence? Those are my two ideas. Or were you not listening?
I was half listening. I was reading.
Oh, well, Ruben got the ideas. What do you think?
Well, surely they're unclean because they haven't been keeping up with the rituals that are required.
Right.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah, so they might be tainted themselves, and they might need to cleanse the place to cleanse themselves. I don't know. Dude, they're weird, okay?
And they brought out all the uncleanliness that they found in the temple of the Lord into the court of the house of the Lord. And the Levites took it to carry it abroad into the brook Kidron.
So if we remember,
That's where they throw the idols.
yeah,
So
that's their dump site for everything idolatrous,
this
pretty much.
uncleanliness is probably literally idols that have been set up.
Yeah.
So that might have been another thing that Ahaz did. He put idols there.
Well, yeah, it says that he did.
Oh.
Now, they began on the first day of the first month to sanctify. And on the 8th day of the month came they to the porch of the Lord.
See, now it's first day of the first month, so that's how early this happened in Hezekiah's reign. The very first day.
Of the first month.
Yeah, of the first year.
Yes. So, they sanctified the house of the Lord in 8 days. And in the 16th day of the first month they made an end. It sounds to me
They finished.
like they weren't resting on the Sabbath.
What?
Oh?
Maybe they were. Nope, for 8 days. Nope.
Nope.
No
Nope.
resting.
No
Yeah.
rest.
Horrible.
If you work for 8 days straight, you can't possibly rest on the Sabbath.
Yeah, that's true.
Sinners in every way. They just forget their own rules in this book.
Horrible, just horrible.
They deserve
What a
whatever's
shame.
coming to them.
What a shame.
Then they went in to Hezekiah the king and said, We've cleansed all the house of the Lord and the altar of burnt offering with all the vessels thereof, and showbread table and all the vessels thereof. Moreover, all the vessels which King Ahaz in his reign did cast away in transgression have we prepared and sanctified, and behold!
Behold!
Behold.
They are before the altar of the Lord. Then Hezekiah the king rose early and gathered the rulers of the city and went up to the house of the Lord. And they brought 7 bullocks, and 7 rams, and 7 lambs, and 7 he-goats for a sin offering for the kingdom, and for the sanctuary, and for Judah.
Is that enough? I mean, we can go back to Leviticus and check if this is enough, but it's probably not enough.
No. You need more.
You need way more. Remember when Solomon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
remember Solomon's hundreds of thousands of animals
Yeah.
that he roasted?
Corpse piles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he commanded the priests, the sons of Aaron, to offer them on the altar of the Lord. So they killed the bullocks, and the priests received the blood and sprinkled it on the altar. Likewise, when they killed the rams, they sprinkled the blood on the altar. They killed also the lambs, and they sprinkled the blood on the altar.
Yep.
And they brought forth
That's where the blood goes.
the he-goats for the sin offering before the king and the congregation. They laid their hands upon them, and the priest killed them. And they made reconciliation with their blood upon the altar, to make an atonement for all Israel. For the king commanded that the burnt offering and the sin offering should be made for all Israel. And he set the Levites in the house of the Lord with cymbals, with psalteries, and with harps, according to the commandments of David and of Gad the king's seer, and Nathan the prophet. For so is the commandment of the Lord by his prophets. And the Levites stood with the instruments of David, and the priests with the trumpets. And Hezekiah commanded to offer the burnt offering upon the altar.
So, one little thing here. So the instruments of David. In the book of Samuel, David is identified as a singer and a player of the lyre, which is true.
Yes.
But by this late date, the general ascription of psalms to him was taking hold. So the instruments of the singers of psalms are imagined to be ones for which he had established a precedent. So I remember him listing a few of those. I don't remember if all of them are exactly cymbals, harps, and lyres. I think there was one, maybe two more.
Oh, the instruments change with
Yeah.
the translation.
Yeah,
too.
they're different.
Well, yeah.
But they've had those same three ones for sure. Lyres,
I know those were included, but
harps.
And when the burnt offering began, the song of the Lord began also with the trumpets and with the instruments ordained by David, king of Israel.
Yeah.
And all the congregation worshipped, and the singers sang, and the trumpeters sounded, and all this continued until the burnt offering was finished.
So were they waiting until absolutely everything was burnt?
Yeah,
Or that's how long? Was that how long they were playing?
They were partying.
yeah.
It's an 8-hour party, guys.
Yeah,
You're
it's
invited.
taken a while. Yeah.
And when they had made an end of the offering, the king and all that was present with him bowed themselves and worshipped. Moreover, Hezekiah, the king and the princes, commanded the Levites to sing praise unto the Lord with the words of David, and of Asaph the seer. And they sang praises with gladness, and they bowed their heads and worshipped. Then Hezekiah answered and said, Now ye have consecrated yourselves unto the Lord. Come near and bring sacrifices and thank offerings into the house of the Lord. And the congregation brought in sacrifices and thank offerings. And
Does
as
anyone
many-
remember thank offerings? Do you have something different, Lawrence?
Well, they had offerings of Thanksgiving.
Huh.
Yes.
Yeah. So one thing about being consecrated, when it says that in verse 31, a different expression is used here from the one that appears in verse 15. Its literal sense is you have filled your hands.
And as many as were of a free heart burnt offerings. And the number of the burnt offerings which the congregation brought was 70 bullocks, 100
70.
rams, and 200 lambs. All these were for a burnt offering to the Lord.
Okay. So this was for the
Entire congregation.
it looks like this was for the priests.
And the consecrated things were 600 oxen and 3,000 sheep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff that they're killing. So, of course, they had, 7 bulls before, and 7 lambs, and 7 of something else, right?
Yeah.
7 rams.
That was not enough.
7 goats. So they had a bunch of those. That was for...
Israel. The
yeah,
whole,
that was for all of Israel.
all of Israel.
Yeah.
And then this, it looks like it's for a more specific group.
Or God. Just God. Give it to God.
Or to God, yeah. But
I mean, it's
it all goes to God, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, I'm not sure.
But the priests were too few, so that they could not flay all the burnt offerings. Wherefore their brothers the Levites did help them, till the work was ended, and until the other priests had sanctified themselves. For the Levites had sanctified themselves. For the Levites were more upright in heart to sanctify themselves than the priests. And also, the burnt offerings were in abundance, with the fat of the peace offerings and the drink offerings for every burnt offering. So the service of the house of the Lord was set in order. And Hezekiah rejoiced, and all the people that God had prepared the people for...
What?
And
What?
Hezekiah rejoiced,
Yeah.
and all the people, comma, that God had prepared the people,
Okay.
Okay.
colon, for the thing was done suddenly.
Okay.
Like that.
So here's another translation. And Hezekiah and all the people rejoiced that God had established it for the people, for the thing had come about in a trice. I feel like that's a little better translation.
Well, that's impossible. It's not the
Oh
King
my
James
God.
translation.
Anyways, that is the end of chapter 29. If you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure to drop a like because we really appreciate it. Really helps us out. Share the stream if you haven't. You should. Subscribe if you haven't, because you should.
And we also have an Amazon wish list and all sorts of stuff.
All sorts. We'll get to that.
Go to MilwaukeeAtheist.com.
We'll
see
get to
Chris's
that.
genius design,
What? That's terrible.
which he's definitely updated.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. Anyways, here is this book.
Ah.
Yes, and let's hop right into chapter 30. Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah, and wrote letters also to Ephraim and Manasseh, which I figured would have been included in those groups.
Yeah.
I mean, I know nobody really likes Manasseh here, but they're still
So-
part of it.
Hezekiah came to the throne in 715 BCE, 6 years after the northern kingdom of Israel had been destroyed by the Assyrians.
Yes.
If the report here is grounded in historical fact, it provides evidence that although many of the subjects of the northern kingdom were deported by the Assyrians, substantial numbers of them remained. Hezekiah's political move then is to unite the whole Israelite population.
Going back to the days of the monarchy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's still a monarchy,
Well,
isn't it?
Sorry, a united monarchy.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Anyways, that they should come to the house of the Lord at Jerusalem to keep the Passover to the Lord, the God of Israel. For the king and his princes and all the assembly in Jerusalem had taken counsel to keep the Passover in the 2nd month. For they could not keep it at that time because the priests had not consecrated themselves in sufficient number, nor had the people assembled in Jerusalem. So they couldn't celebrate the Passover because there weren't enough priests by the time they had to celebrate it.
I figured they were missing it.
And here it says the prescribed time for Passover is in the 1st month, but provision is made to observe the holiday a month later for persons on a journey who are then unable to come to the temple at the fixed time. By analogy, then, because in this instance, many of the priests were not yet consecrated, and evidently the northern population could not arrive in time, the festival is postponed for a month.
Okay, gotcha. That seems idolatrous to me.
Yeah.
But anyways,
It's breaking the laws of Moses.
yep, and
Ruined it.
And the plan seemed right to the king and all the assembly. So they decreed to make a proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba to Dan, that the people should come and keep the Passover to the Lord, the God of Israel, at Jerusalem, for they had not kept it as often as prescribed. So couriers went throughout all Israel and Judah with letters from the king and his princes, as the king had commanded, saying, O people of Israel, return to the Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. And of course, that's supposed to be Jacob.
Yes.
That he may turn again to the remnant of you who have escaped from the hand of the kings of Assyria. Do not be like your fathers and your brothers, who were faithless to the Lord God of their fathers, so that he made them a desolation, as you see. So, as is tradition,
Yeah.
actually at this point it's probably even before the tradition, but they're blaming themselves
As is
for the
pre-tradition.
destruction. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
blaming themselves for their own destruction.
Well, they should.
I mean,
If they had the military that they said they
no.
had.
But they were worshiping the wrong way, the wrong God.
Well, there's that too. But if they had
That
the
was-
military
that was
they
the
said
thing.
they had.
That's all that
They
was
weren't
important.
worshiping their war and storm god Yahweh.
Yeah.
That's why they lost.
That's it. There's no other reason. It can't be anything else.
Do not now be stiff-necked as
Huh.
your fathers were. And of course, stiff-necked was used kind of often in, I think, Numbers and Exodus, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. To describe the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was used a few times at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. But yield yourselves to the Lord and come to his sanctuary, which he has consecrated forever, and serve the Lord your God. That
Where
his
it says yields yourself, the literal Hebrew translation is give a hand.
Please give a hand.
Help.
And serve the Lord your God. And serve the Lord your God, that his fierce anger may turn away from you. For if you return to the Lord, your brothers and your children will find compassion with their captors and return to this land. Interesting. Okay. For the Lord your God is gracious and merciful, and will not turn away his face from you if you return to him. First of all,
What?
he's not gracious and he's not merciful.
No, he just said
Right.
you don't want his scorn. He's wrath. He's evil.
He destroys entire
Of course.
like cities and like he drowns the whole world at one point.
But of
He's-
course, this is meant to be conditional, right? Because
Mhm.
it says as long as, you,
Keep my covenant.
as long as you keep my
And
covenant.
which is arbitrary and changing all the time.
As long as you're faithful and stuff, then, only then, will God be gracious and merciful.
Uh-huh.
But even then, okay, hold on. If someone doesn't break a covenantal law, if someone doesn't break the law of God, why would there ever be a need to be merciful? Like, there wouldn't even be a chance for God to demonstrate his mercy.
Right.
Yeah, when did that happen?
So it's I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but it's kind of pointless. It's moot.
Moot.
Yes.
Okay. Anyways, so the couriers went from city to city through the country of Ephraim and Manasseh, and as far as Zebulun. But they laughed them to scorn and mocked them. Oh, shit. However, some men of Asher, of Manasseh, and of Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. The hand of God was also on Judah to give them one heart to do what the king and the princes commanded by the word of the Lord. Does your thing say anything about that? Gave them one heart? That's verse 12.
12.
You know, like in a video game when you get a
Gave
new
them
health bar?
single heart to do the command of the king
Huh.
by the official. Yeah, it says gave them a single heart.
Okay, do you have a
It's-
note for that?
No.
Interesting, okay.
I'm gonna guess it's just a person.
A single heart?
It just means that they were united.
I guess, yeah. Okay. And many people came together in Jerusalem to keep the feast of unleavened bread in the second month.
Hooray.
A very great assembly. They set to work and removed the altars that were in Jerusalem, and all the altars for burning incense they took away and threw into the brook Kidron. And they slaughtered the Passover lamb on the 14th day of the second month. And the priests and the Levites were ashamed, so that they consecrated themselves and brought burnt offerings into the house of the Lord. So they killed a Passover lamb, and they felt bad about it, So they had to consecrate themselves again?
With a different
Because
lamb.
They didn't consecrate themselves before they
But they
killed
were
it.
consecrated.
All of them?
They should have been, yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
In the last
jeez.
chapter.
Well,
We're not figuring this out, guys. This
Whatever.
is an ancient mystery.
Anyways. Passover lamb killed it, ashamed, burnt offerings in the house of the Lord. They took their accustomed posts according to the law of Moses, the man of God. The priests threw the blood that they received from the hand of the Levites. The priests threw the blood that they received from the hand of the Levites. Okay. For there were many in the assembly who had... Oh, there we go. There were many in the assembly who had not consecrated themselves. Therefore, the Levites had to slaughter the Passover lamb for everyone who was not clean to consecrate it for the Lord. For a majority of the people, many of them from Ephraim, Manasseh, Issachar, and Zebulun, had not cleaned themselves,
What?
yet they ate the Passover otherwise than as prescribed. For Hezekiah had prayed for them, saying, "May the good Lord pardon everyone who sets his heart to seek God the Lord, the God of his fathers, even though not according to the sanctuary's rules and cleanness." Oh man.
Nope.
Is this
That's
gonna be
a hard nope.
Is this gonna be the downfall of Hezekiah?
Yep.
people didn't cleanse
He's like-
themselves enough.
But he's all like, it's okay. It's okay. You're seeking God. It's okay if you don't follow his rules. And the Lord heard Hezekiah and healed the people.
What? No,
That's
God.
very uncharacteristic
Dude,
of
why?
God.
He's so flippant now.
And the people of Israel who were present at Jerusalem kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with great gladness. And the Levites and the priests praised the Lord day by day, singing with all their might to the Lord. And Hezekiah spoke encouragingly to all the Levites who showed good skill in the service of the Lord. So they ate the food of the festival for 7 days, sacrificing peace offerings. Sacrificing peace offerings. I'm pretty sure that's an oxymoron.
It's not well written.
And giving thanks to the Lord, the God of their fathers. Then the whole assembly agreed together to keep the feast for another 7 days. So they kept it for another 7 days with gladness. For Hezekiah, king of Judah, gave the assembly, holy fuck, 1,000 bulls, 7,000 sheep for offerings, and the princes gave the assembly 1,000 bulls and 10,000 sheep. And the priests consecrated themselves in great numbers, the whole assembly of Judah, and the priests and the Levites, and the whole assembly that came out of Israel, and the sojourners who came out of the land of Israel, and the sojourners who lived in Judah, rejoiced. So there was great joy in Jerusalem. For since the time of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, there had been nothing. That was tough. There had been nothing like this in Jerusalem. Then the priests and the Levites arose and blessed the people, and their voice was heard, and their prayers came to his holy habitation in heaven. That's a new description of prayers.
Yeah.
That they went to the holy habitation in heaven.
His holy abode in here.
I guess his holy abode.
No, it literally says in this translation.
Oh, it
his
says holy abode? Okay. Neat.
Oh, speaking of neat.
Yeah,
it's
do you
the
hear
end
something?
of that chapter, and I hear a very strange sound, almost.
Oh my
as
gosh,
if-
it's happening now.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Wow.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wowie
Holy
zowie.
Jesus. This Jesus is brought to you by Clear Mountain Dew.
It's
see-through.
not
See-through.
brought to you by
See-through
Mountain
Mountain Dew.
We wish.
The
We
Mountain
are-
Dew you can see
Dew.
through.
We are
You
not sponsored by Mountain
We
Dew.
really wish
Mountain
we
Dew
were.
sponsor us.
Please
Please.
sponsor us, Mountain Dew.
Thank you.
We
All
should
right,
add
well,
a
that was
corporate
that.
sponsor tier to the Patreon.
Sure.
If you donate $100,000 a month, you'll be guaranteed a 30-second spot.
Yeah, I guess.
More. You can have the entire show where Lawrence has
Yeah,
the
why
see-through
not?
Mountain Dew. It's really easy. It just could be there.
Yeah. Anyways, let's hop right into chapter 31.
31.
Right after you drop a like.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I
Did you
see.
drop a like, Chris?
I know.
I saw that right after you said to drop a like, we dropped a viewer.
Man.
Chapter 31. Now, when all this was finished, all Israel that were present went out to the cities of Judah and brake the images in pieces, and cut down the groves, the Asherah.
Yeah. Also, one little thing here. So when it says all of Israel that were present, and maybe this has been leading to some confusion. This actually happens quite a lot in Chronicles. Sometimes Israel refers to everybody, both Israel and Judah.
Yeah, that happened.
And
a
other
few
times it's just the northern region Israel.
And sometimes it's just that guy, Jacob.
So, yeah.
Which at this point, the northern region of Israel is fucked, right?
I mean, according to the chronicler,
Okay.
yeah. But also, yeah, with Syria. But here's a note here. In the somewhat confusing switch between the two meanings of Israel, the reference here is to the Judaites.
Oh.
The Judites. All the Israelites, also in that verse. Now the term refers to the subjects of the northern kingdom. Yeah.
And they threw down the high places
Oh.
and the altars out of all Judah and Benjamin and Ephraim and also Manasseh until they utterly destroyed them all.
So, but the thing
Wow.
is, that was already done before.
Yeah, but they did it again.
They did it
Yeah, they
again.
did it
They
again.
found more.
This happens a number of times. Presumably, people are building, like, when they say altars in the high places, right? That means, like, someone stacked some rocks and burnt some incense on top of a mountain.
Something like that, yeah.
Right,
On top
so,
of a hill, yeah.
Like, this is going to be something that continually happens that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have to deal with it even. It's even people who like,
Yeah.
follow their God.
Like, it's really not a problem for, like, I don't give a shit if they have high places.
Yeah, well, like, they never had a problem with it before.
Well, yeah, but that's what caused them to be destroyed. But here's the interesting thing. No, here's the interesting thing. In Chronicles, we haven't even learned about. Well, we learned about it, but we didn't actually cover Jeroboam's sin. We didn't cover the creation of his golden calves.
No.
We had one obscure lone reference to the sin of Jeroboam, but we had no actual discussion on it.
It wasn't like a here are your gods, Israel.
Exactly.
No, but it was written
was-
in the Book of Kings, and
it-
boy, did they say it was.
Sure. In the Book of Kings, that's where they always referred back to the sin of Jeroboam, and we also had a good discussion on the creation of the calves. But in Chronicles, it seems like the sin instead of the calves is the Asherah poles.
Yes.
And of course, that was a problem beforehand as well, but it was kind of on the same level.
So
as
now
golden
the
calf.
chronicler is just equating all different kinds of non-Yahweh alone worship as being basically the same thing, and like what?
Well,
He didn't bring up all worship,
he
did
might
they?
be including, he's probably including idols and stuff along with the golden calves. But it's just interesting how there was a concentration on the golden calves in Kings, but not here.
Well, I find it strange, though, that they specifically point out the groves or the Asherah poles all the time, when they don't do that for other gods.
Yeah, and they don't bring up Baal here at all.
Right.
Sometimes in past versions, they mix those in with the Asherim and the high places.
Yeah.
Then all the children of Israel returned every man to his possession into their own cities. And Hezekiah appointed the courses of every priest and of the priests and the Levites after their courses, every man according to his service, the priests and the Levite for burnt offerings and for peace offerings, to minister and to give thanks and to praise in the gates of the tents of the Lord. He appointed also the king's portion of his substance for the burnt offerings, to wit, for the morning and evening burnt offerings, and the burnt offerings for the Sabbaths and for the new moons, and for the set feasts, as it is written in the law of the Lord. Moreover, he commanded the people that dwelt in Jerusalem to give the portion of the priests and the Levites, that they might be encouraged in the law of the Lord.
I am sure that's what it was. So they were encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I am sure that was it.
They didn't have guns, but, whatever equivalent of gunpoint.
And as soon as the commandment came abroad, the children of Israel brought in abundance the first fruits of corn, wine, and oil, and honey, and of all increase of the field, and the tithe of all things brought they in abundantly. And concerning the children of Israel and Judah, that dwelt in the cities of Judah, they also brought in the tithe of oxen and sheep, and the tithe of the holy things which were consecrated unto the Lord their God, and laid them by heaps. How many holy things
Quite a lot.
are in a heap?
Oh my God, we're not doing this.
No heaps and piles, please.
Let's build a Sorites sequence here. Right? No.
You're at 7.
Yeah, I know. In the 3rd month, they began to lay the foundation of the heaps and finished them in the 7th month.
These have got to be some big heaps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're as big as they need to be for a heap.
Oh my God.
And when Hezekiah and the princes came to see the heaps, they blessed the Lord and his people Israel. And then Hezekiah questioned with the priests and the Levites concerning the heaps. And Azariah, the chief priest of the house of Zadok, answered him and said, "Since the people began to bring the offerings into the house of the Lord, we have had enough to eat, and have left plenty. For the Lord hath blessed his people, and that which is left is this great store." Ooh, that's bad. That means they're not leaving out enough for the strangers to carry what they can in their hands,
So that
right?
we have this large amount left.
You're supposed to leave it on the vines.
Well, either way, they have been okay, and they have more. So they're going to be good for a while.
Yeah. Then Hezekiah commanded to prepare chambers in the house of the Lord, and they prepared them, and brought in the offerings and the tithes and the dedicated things faithfully, over which Kononiah the Levite was ruler, and Shimei his brother was the next, and Jehiel and Azaziah, and Nahath and Asahel, and Jeremoth and Jozabad, and Eliel and Ismachiah, and Mahath and Benaiah were overseers under the hand of Kononiah and Shimei his brother, at the commandment of Hezekiah the king, and Azariah, the ruler of the house of God. And
Wait, hold on. But we were just told that... No, that was somebody else. That was Azaziah. My bad.
It's so close. It's a pretty easy mistake.
Yeah, this is a different guy. Azariah. And Korah, the son of Imnah the Levite, the porter towards the east, was over the freewill offerings of God, to distribute the oblations of the Lord and the most holy things. And next him were Eden and Miniamin and Jeshua. Ooh, it's Jesus. It's Yeshua. And Shemaiah and Amariah and Shechaniah in the cities of the priests, in their set office, to give to their brethren by course, as well to the great as to the small.
So I just want to point out one thing. The note here for that verse was, and alongside him were, and then it listed all those names. These words begin a run-on sentence that continues all the way to the end of verse 19.
Hooray!
It is another instance in which the chronicler's control of Hebrew style seems questionable.
Oh boy. That's,
So,
what are we on now?
16.
yeah.
So 3 stanzas is the run-on sentence.
Beside their genealogy of males from 3 years old upward, even unto everyone that entereth into the house of the Lord, his daily portion for their service in the charges according to their courses, both of the genealogy of the priests by the house of their fathers, and the Levites from 20 years old and upward, and they're charged by their courses,
So,
and to the genealogy of all their little ones, their wives, and their sons, and their daughters through the congregation. For in their set office they sanctified themselves in holiness.
So, when it talks about, first of all, from 3 years old, when counting people, right? When starting the lineage. This could well be a mistake for 30, since the males referred to have come to serve in the temple. And as well as later in verse 18, it says, it starts with the children and the wives and their sons and daughters and stuff. So it makes sense. So yeah, that was just a note there.
Also, of the sons of Aaron the priest, which were in the fields of the suburbs of their cities, in every several city, the men that were expressed by name to give portions to all the males among the priests, and to all that were reckoned by genealogies among the Levites. And thus did Hezekiah throughout all Judah, and wrought that which was good and right and truth before the Lord his God, and in every work that he began in, the service of the house of God, and in the law, and in the commandments, to seek his God, he did it with all his heart, and prospered.
So, here is a note for, like when Hezekiah, it says that he did it all throughout Judah. In Kings, Hezekiah is seen as an exemplary king, chiefly because he rooted out idolatry in his kingdom. Although that is, of course, mentioned by the chronicler, the king's principal doings, quote, in this matter, are his establishing the sacerdotal hierarchies and his instituting a system of gifts, which is to say material support for the priests and the Levites. So all the stuff that we learned about in Leviticus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the end of chapter 31.
Yes, it is.
If you're enjoying the stream so far, be sure to give us a like.
Then share it somewhere. That'd
And,
be nice.
you know, shove it down your family members' throats.
Yeah, like, I don't know how you're going to do it, but print out the video.
Yeah, print out the
Frame
video.
by frame.
Yep,
Frame
and
by
then shove it down their throat. Then that's is a moral thing to do.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Thanks for doing that
Yeah.
for us. I don't know
Please
how they're
don't
going to notice
actually
up
do
or
that.
anything. But whatever. That's their problem. And
All
that digesting all the paper you cramp down their throat, that's also their
Yeah, that'll
problem.
be fine.
All right.
All right, let's start with chapter 32.
Yes.
You mean end with?
Well, yeah, fine, I guess. Start chapter 32, which will eventually end at the end of this chapter.
No,
Because chapter
the show will
32, I know. It also ends then.
Ah, you're useless. Finish your shit.
Okay. After these things and these acts of faithfulness, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came and invaded Judah and encamped against the fortified cities, thinking to win them for himself.
No.
And when Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib had come and intended to fight against Jerusalem, he planned with his officers and his mighty men to stop the water of the springs that were outside the city, and they helped him. So they're cutting off their water supply?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a smart tactic. They'll die in like 3 days.
A great many people were gathered, and they stopped all the springs and the brook that flowed through the land, saying, "Why should the kings of Assyria come and find much water?" He set to work resolutely and built up all the wall that was broken down and raised towers upon it. And I have a note that's in the Vulgate, and in the Hebrew it says, and raised upon the towers. So really not that different. And outside it, he built another wall.
Wow.
And he strengthened the Millo in the city of David. He also made weapons and shields in abundance, gearing up for that war. And he set combat commanders over the people and gathered them together to him in the square at the gate of the city, and spoke encouragingly to them, saying, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or dismayed before the king of Assyria and all the horde that is with him. For there are more with us than with him. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God to help us and to fight our battles." So he's there to fight our battles.
Absolutely.
Physically, he'll be like Avatar form and box him real hard, yeah.
Yeah. And the people took confidence from the words of Hezekiah, king of Judah. Yeah, otherwise he wouldn't be a very effective
leader.
king. Yeah. After this, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, who was besieging Lachish with all his forces, sent his servants to Jerusalem, to Hezekiah, king of Judah, and to all the people of Judah who were in Jerusalem, saying, "Thus says Sennacherib, king of Assyria, on what are you trusting that you endure the siege in Jerusalem? Is not Hezekiah misleading you, that he may give you over to die by famine and by thirst, when he tells you, the Lord our God will deliver us from the hand of the king of Assyria?" First of all, this dude didn't hear him say that.
Yeah. He's just mentioning it.
Yeah. And second of all, I'm pretty sure they did. Pretty sure the Assyrians were okay at the end of this.
Yeah.
This confrontation.
So a lot of the notes in here just say that it's like, yeah, this stuff wasn't when it was in Kings.
Yeah.
So
No, it wasn't.
This is a lot of propaganda.
Yeah.
Even more so
Than before.
than in Kings.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Has not this same Hezekiah taken away his high places and his altars, and commanded Judah and Jerusalem, before one altar you shall worship on it, you shall burn your sacrifices? Do you not know what I and my fathers have done to all the peoples of other lands? Were the gods of the nations of those lands at all able to deliver their lands out of my hand? He's making some good points.
Yeah, but he's also forgetting all those times he lost.
I mean, at this point, wouldn't have been often.
No, not as much.
I don't really know that much about the Assyrian Empire, so. Who among all the gods of the nations that my fathers devoted to destruction was able to deliver his people from my hand, that your God should be able to deliver you from my hand? Now, therefore, do not let Hezekiah deceive you or mislead you in this fashion, and do not believe him, for no God of any nation or kingdom has been able to deliver his people from my hand or from the hand of my fathers. How much less will your God deliver you out of my hand? So, we've always been better than every other nation. Their gods are nothing compared to ours. What makes you think your God is better?
Mm.
And the servants said still more against the Lord God and against his servant Hezekiah. And he wrote letters to cast contempt on the Lord, the God of Israel.
He wrote letters to insult God.
Yeah,
Let's finish
God.
the sentence. And to speak against him, saying, like the gods of the nations of the lands who have not delivered their people from my hands, so the God of Hezekiah will not deliver his people from my hand. I am just picturing him, or his, I don't know, his fucking workers, I guess, writing letters and, like, addressing them to God.
Yeah.
Like, Yahweh, you got nothing on our God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like Santa.
Yeah, it's just like Santa.
Yeah. All he knows when you're even good or bad, still be good.
Or
Thanks.
bad.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter either way.
Yeah. And they shouted it with a loud voice in the language of Judah to the people of Jerusalem who were on the wall to frighten and terrify them in order that they might take the city. And they spoke of the God in Jerusalem as they spoke of the gods of the peoples on the earth, which are the work of men's hands.
So, idols.
Idols, yeah. Then Hezekiah the king and Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz, prayed because of this and cried to heaven. And the Lord sent an angel who cut off all the mighty warriors and commanders and officers in the camp of the king of Assyria. So he returned with shame of face to his own land. Bummer.
Mm-hmm.
What a bummer.
He's having a bad day.
Yeah, that angel really fucked him up. And when he came to the house of his God, some of his own sons struck him down there with the sword. Wow.
But he's fine, right?
Wow. What a way to turn on somebody.
In Kings, their names are given.
Oh, okay.
Superior.
So, the Lord saved Hezekiah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem from the hand of Sennacherib, king of Assyria, and from the hand of all his enemies. And he provided for them on every side. And many brought gifts to the Lord to Jerusalem, and precious things to Hezekiah, king of Judah, so that he was exalted in the sight of all nations from that time onward. Which, by the way, he really wasn't exalted in all nations.
Nope.
Most nations didn't care about him.
Still don't.
Mm-hmm.
In those days, Hezekiah became sick and was at the point of death. And he prayed to the Lord, and he answered him and gave him a sign. But Hezekiah did not make return according to the benefit done to him, for his heart was proud. Therefore wrath came upon him in Judah and Jerusalem.
So in the King's story, God gives him a sign by making the shadow of a sundial go backwards.
Was that what happened?
Yeah, he moved the sun. I remember that.
Okay. And
Apparently the details of Hezekiah's sickness are different between the King's account and the Second Chronicles account.
was the
It doesn't say exactly how, it just says a parallel account appears in 2 Kings 20, though the details are not the same.
gotcha, as is tradition.
Hooray.
But Hezekiah humbled himself for the pride of his heart, both he and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that the wrath of the Lord did not come upon them in the days of Hezekiah. So, hold on. So, he started to, I guess, have some kind of fall from grace. It says he did not make return according to the benefit done for him.
Mm-hmm.
So then God was all mad. And then Hezekiah was like, I'm sorry. So then God wasn't mad.
Yeah,
Okay.
good times.
And Hezekiah had very great riches and honor. And he made for himself treasuries for silver, for gold, for precious stones, for spices, for shields, and for all kinds of costly vessels, storehouses also for the yield of grain, wine, and oil. And by the way, those were actual things that were very common to the region. Like that was those were big agricultural.
Well, obviously,
pieces, yeah.
they're
Yeah,
very
like
important,
shields.
Yeah.
especially wine.
Yeah. And oil.
Yeah.
And stalls for all kinds of cattle and sheepfolds. He likewise provided cities for himself and flocks and herds in abundance, for God had given him very great possessions. This same Hezekiah closed the upper outlet of the waters of Gihon and directed them down to the west side of the city of David. And Hezekiah prospered in all his works, and so in the matter of the envoys of the princes of Babylon who had been sent to him to inquire about the sign that had been done in the land, God left him to himself in order to test him and to know all that was in his heart.
Here the Babylonian commanders, instead of princes.
Okay.
So it says this probably refers to the Babylonian delegation that visited Jerusalem as reported in 2 Kings 20:12-19. The inquiry about the sign would have been about the miraculous sign or the portent of the sundial, word of which is here supposed to have reached as far as Babylonia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, the rest of the acts of Hezekiah and his good deeds, behold!
Behold!
What?
They are written in the vision of Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz, in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. And Hezekiah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the upper part of the tombs of the sons of David. So, unlike Ahaz, he gets a good burial.
Yeah, he's gave
Yep.
for his immortal fathers.
And all Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem did him honor at his death. And Manasseh, his son, reigned in his place. Oh no, Manasseh. Remember Manasseh?
That guy sucks.
I remember.
Yeah, I remember. This guy's going to fuck everything up before Josiah comes in and helps.
And that brings us...
And also, when it talks about the book of the vision of Isaiah and the books of kings of Judah and Israel, Isaiah is probably our Isaiah,
yeah.
the book of Isaiah. And then, of course, kings of what is it, Chronicles this time? No. Book of Kings of Judah and Israel.
Yes.
Probably refers to the books of Kings.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, that is the end of chapter 32. If you guys enjoyed the stream, please drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, check us out on Facebook and Twitter, share the stream, become a patron. We have lots of great rewards.
And we are almost done with 2nd Chronicles.
We will be done next
We're finishing it next week. Yep.
And then we will move on to Ezra,
Yep. And then Nehemiah.
and then a whole bunch of other books, and then in maybe a year, we'll get to the New Testament.
We'll get there, yeah. Eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah. What else? The wish list.
The wish list exists,
I haven't seen Nightbot in the chat, sadly, even though I did link that.
but our Amazon wish list is in the description.
Yep, at the very bottom. If you want to see a video on something, you can send us a book about it, and we will read it, and it will probably be a source for a video.
Eventually.
Yeah.
If not, then you can support us via Patreon or Super Chats or our Teespring,
Our Teespring, yes.
where
that's
you
right.
can get all sorts of wacky and fun T-shirts.
Wacky and fun.
That's how
what
you
they
describe it?
Yep. Is that what you're writing up on the screen?
No,
Wacky
I'm not
and fun
doing
t-shirts?
shit. I'm just
Okay.
trying to get the screen res back to normal now that we're almost done.
Okay. Anyways, so thank you everyone who joined us, and thank you even more to those that stuck around. And if you haven't, hold on, click that bell to get a notification. Although it probably doesn't matter because YouTube started not giving notifications if you click the bell. It's like, why is it even there? Anyways,
Piss
Well-
you off.
And if you didn't join us today, you can't see this message, so...
Oh, yeah, and let us know about that other stuff. Let's do the Behold thing. as well. We've got 3 beholds today. That's nice.
3 beholds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Behold.
Behold!
3 beholds.
Thank you.
All right.
And everyone, we will
See you next Sunday.